All right, with this West 2 Facebook Live update, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tony Manolfi. Hope you guys are having yourselves a good Monday. It was pretty dry for the most part, although there were a few storms up to the north, and there are a few showers popping up right now. We'll get to that here in a bit. But the other big story, of course, is what is going on in the very busy and active tropical Atlantic. Joyce, Kirk are going to be pulled out to sea, so some good news on that front. However, we'll have to watch a little feature here, potentially developing from the Caribbean and heading into the Gulf of Mexico. So without further ado, let's take a look at that right now. As you can see, we got Joyce. It's a tropical depression. Isaac is falling apart. Kirk is going to become a major hurricane. And then behind Kirk is soon to be Leslie. So Leslie is going to be another storm system. However, that's going to go out to sea. And some good news on that front. One of the things that I do like to show from time to time, as you guys are well aware of, is the European side by side with the GFS, just to kind of highlight some of the things that are going on down in the tropics. Let me look for one quick image here, but there's a look now at Joyce. Joyce is about to get ripped apart there, so there's some good news on that part right there. And then Kirk is going to be a powerful hurricane. There's no doubt about that, but thankfully that one is going to stay out to sea. Let me look for here real quick. Give me 1 second. You're all right. This is the one I want. So I showed that. So I've got this here. I'm gonna briefly talk about what's going on with Joyce, Kirk, and soon to be Leslie. It's now got a higher chance of developing in the short run. Next 2 days, it's now at 60% there, folks. So there we go. All right, so why are these going to curve out to sea? Let's do a little bit on that. Then I'm going to spend a whole lot more time on the Caribbean. So here's a look at what's going to be happening. There's the GFS. There's the Euro. That is Kirk, and that is being pulled out to sea. And then behind Kirk, that is Leslie. Leslie also going to be pulled out to sea. Now, you don't see anything there in the Caribbean and the Gulf, and that's the point I want to make here. The models are struggling with this particular feature, and all of the guidance today is suggesting that this is not going to be a significant piece of energy coming out of the Caribbean into the Gulf, but it could be a significant rainmaker, and that's the point I want to drive home to everybody here, make it very clear. So 10% chance of developing in the next 2 days, 40% chance of developing in the next 7 days. This is a very, very slow mover. Then there's a couple of parts here that I want to kind of break down before I start showing some of the model data. There's your trough of low pressure in the southern Caribbean. A little bit of spin. If you look real closely, see that little spin right in there? That's moving off towards the west. This is moving up to the northwest. The two are going to kind of congeal and then wrap around the backside of this high pressure. Now here's the thing. The GFS is allowing for it to come up to here. The Euro is allowing it only to get to here because there's another front that's going to be dropping on in. And I'll show you the two fronts here and the timing. That's the critical nature here with this next storm. So again, recapping. 10% chance of developing in the Caribbean in the short run. From there, headed up towards the west-northwest. This is a look now at the global models. All right, I look at the European. I look at the European AI. I look at the GFS American model. I look at the ICON German model. I look at the GEM Canadian model. And then I physically, manually go in there and plot where they're headed. Now, you're used to seeing the spaghetti plots, but the spaghetti plots, remember, those are the tropical models. Those are not the global models. And there's a big difference the way a global model looks at the environment versus the way the tropical environment looks at it. But notice the turn. There is one consistent feature outside of the GFS. They go northwest, and then they go back to the east. And there's a good reason for that. There's a cold front that's going to come in, and it's all about timing. I'm going to show you a couple of those models here in a second, but here's the point I want to drive home. The models are struggling with development. There is a chance that nothing could develop, and that could just be a solid rainmaker. It's definitely going to be weak, whatever it is, and it's definitely going to be wetter. Tropical moisture is going to increase this weekend on into early next week. Now, let's take a look at some of the models here. I'm going to kind of drive this home for everybody. So here's what the Euro does. It's different than the American GFS. So you'll see there's Wednesday. Moisture overhead. Notice a little feature near Havana. That lifts to the north. And it's Friday. It's Saturday. Weak little feature. Now notice what's going on. It starts to head south because there's a front coming in across the deep south. Rips it apart and then begins to push it south of central Florida by Wednesday or Thursday of next week. By Wednesday and Thursday of next week. A different way to do this with you is to show you the spin with this, what we call the vorticity. So there's Havana, there's your spin, and then you can see that coming north into the Gulf of Mexico, getting sheared out now. You can see that piece dropping south of Atlanta. That's a cold front. Then, as that drops south, it rips it apart and pushes it southeast. So, bottom line there is that the Euro does not have it going into Georgia or South Carolina. With that next front coming in, which kind of makes a lot of sense. You start getting into October, there's more cold fronts. Things get pushed south or east more quickly. You start getting in November, everything's confined to Cuba and the southern Bahamas and on into Hispaniola. So there's the Euro. There's your cold front. See how it doesn't make it very far north? There's a good deal of rain, though. But then look what happens. Wednesday night on into Thursday, everything gets shut down, shut off. We dry out. And probably some of the coolest air of the season would pop in there if that were to indeed happen. I'm not saying it's going to, but we'll watch the trends. So the Euro has the majority of the heavy rain from Orlando on south. In fact, take a look at some of the numbers, and there you go. See Orlando, 1 to 2. Kissimmee, 2 to 3. South Brevard, on into Winter Haven, Southern Osceola, 3 to 5. Now, the GFS is a lot different. I need you to check this out. This is a totally different ball game. Brenda, we are used to the rain. The winds, I don't think this is going to be a wind maker. I think this is not a Helene. This is more of a big-time rainmaker. So there's the GFS. There's your feature coming up between Cancun and Havana. Little secondary max there. Then it kind of, there it is. You can see it right over central Florida. And then it's just kind of a quick amalgamation there, just kind of hanging around in the northern and eastern Gulf of Mexico. And there's a hint of a push to the south, but not like the Euro. It's not as definitive as the Euro, meaning that there's a better likelihood of more rain and heavier rain coming up from south to north. Here's the GFS. There's your low. There's your front. Doesn't kind of make a swish through. It just kind of backs on in and weakens the feature as it comes to the north. Now the GFS, look at this rain here, folks. This is a little bit different. There it is. A lot more rain with the GFS over Florida and Georgia. There it is. Look at that. 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 inches of rain. So when you look at all of the models, there you go. Okay, the timing of this is the weekend and early next week for everybody. The weekend and early next week. It's going to be wet Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. 4-day stretch, just sitting out there. Lindsay, happy Monday to you. I will take more questions here in a second. Let me just get through this. So a culmination of all the models puts the heaviest rain in the Gulf with a good solid soaking over Florida. Well said, Brenda. Well said. So that's a look at that. So again, the key here is just watching the trends on these global models. Again, they all appear to be weak, but they all have a lot of rain, and that's the thing that we're going to have to watch here going forward. And now, one more time for those of you just coming in, Kirk and Leslie are going to be pulled out to sea. Some strong fronts coming in and going to kind of steer that away from the United States and Florida. So some good news there on that front. Now, somebody was asking about the water temperatures and the anomalies. So you can see deep warm waters, still plenty warm here. Big expansive area, some warm air. Notice the cooling going on. A couple storms up there, and you start getting into October, start getting some cooler air coming on in. So it's a combination of storms and the cooler Canary current as you get into late September and October. So plenty of warm, juicy air for Kirk and Leslie to develop, and then turn off towards the north and the east. So, and let me show you the, here's the water vapor channel. You can see fronts there. Daytona's in the house. Stephanie Booker Morales. Yep. So this whole conga line of storms right here, that's what's going to save us from these two guys out here. So we're going to have to watch these two features. Going to get pulled west by this high, and then gradually either come up to here or don't even make it in there with that next run coming on it. So that's how that's going to work. So that's basically the deal on the tropics. Let me give you a quick little weather update for tomorrow, because there's going to be some storms around, and I'll take some of your questions there. So there's Tuesday. Best storm chance is going to be on the eastern side of the peninsula, and as you can see right there, heaviest rain will be on the eastern side of the peninsula. Another hot one tomorrow. Another day in the 90s, by the way. Another day in the 90s. There we go, 90 to 92. Should about do it. And then the 7-day, then I'll take some questions here. We won't do the normal fly around the world. I know you guys have a lot of questions. Some of you have a little bit of anxiety. There's your 7-day. I haven't put anything on the tropics yet. I want to wait another day or two to fine-tune this. But definitely think the weekend and early next week, guys. So plenty of rain, plenty of clouds. Temperatures dropping back into the mid-80s. All right. Thank you, Kathy. All right. Time for some questions. Anybody have got some concerns, some thoughts? Fire away, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Summerfield, Tony Shirley's in the house. Sarah Walsh has made it in. Sarah, good to have you. And if you guys don't mind sharing the feed tonight, as the more people we can get to see this and what could potentially be coming, the more people we could put in the weather note. Jessica Loudon, Wilkie, I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. Betsy Clark is in the house. Betty Davis has popped in. Gary Hicks, it was 95 today, Mr. Hicks. So yes, you and I, we both felt it. We both definitely felt it. Timeline. We have travel plans October the 10th. October the 10th. So again, we go back. Let's do it this way. So if you like the euro, there's the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and then it's done. By the 10th, you're good to go. Leah Marie, welcome. Melinda Robertson, I hear you. Is it possible for the storm to go into the Gulf? Sammy Lee, it is possible, but with many of the models, the forecasting and front dropping on in, that's going to create a pretty unfavorable environment. So let's hope that that part of the equation does not change. None of the models are really indicating a strong storm, so that's some good news. Carmen, Lulu, Sharon Boudreau. I'm going to do a Seabury for my next Wednesday. Catherine Cheek, it depends on how quickly this comes up to the north. If the euro is right, you're okay. If the GFS is right, and remember, this is not an invest yet, so we're not running any tropical models. If the GFS is right, it's still going to be wet. So let's keep an eye on that for you. And for that event, family visiting for Wednesday, a lot of rain. Wednesday, Thursday, I don't think there's going to be a lot of rain. I think there will be rain. I think the more significant rain arrives as we head into the weekend and early next week. Catherine Brunel, it certainly was. So I miss it. Corey Bush, the biggest concern for you is going to be the potential for a lot of rain. That's the thinking right now. Melanie Reed, I don't want to say definitively a washout yet because nothing's developed and nothing has moved into the Gulf of Mexico. I would say keep checking back in so we can kind of fine-tune that weekend forecast, by the way. Dwayne, thank you. Rachel, thank you. Tiffany, gotcha. The European does pretty well, but it's not always the best fit. The Euro doesn't always win out. Sometimes the GFS does, but more often than not, it seems like the Euro does do the better of the jobs. Melissa, when you say hit as a rainmaker, yes, I think there's a chance for that. Melanie, you're welcome. You bet, Carmen. Isabella Faria. Corey, you're welcome. So yeah, this does not scream hurricane at all to me. Does this scream tropical storm? Maybe a weak tropical storm or a TD? Yeah, it's more in line with that. So that's what I'm thinking. Week of October 22nd. Nancy Cruz. Too early to tell that far out right now. Tara Rodriguez has popped in. T-Rod, I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you're doing well. Let's see, Nikki Lynn Rodriguez. Tasha Johnston has also popped in. Good to have you guys in here. So again, these are the global models. Time frame Saturday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday. But as I've been mentioning now, here's the problem. Models are struggling with the development. Please turn and tell me about it, Gregory. I want you to know that you're Louie, I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. Tara Summerlin, now when you say another, this is not going to be a Helene. That's not happening. I think this is going to be more of a rainmaker than anything else. I'm not impressed with it intensity-wise. Thanks, T-Rod. Marion Fougere, you bet. Brenda, you're welcome. I did get some rest over the weekend. I do appreciate you looking out for me. Barbara Ross, rain okay. It depends on where that rain falls, but yes, I'm with you on that, Kelly Jo Hull. Barbara Ross is in the house. Good to have you. Joanne Clendins, Giovanni Diaz, T. Ward. Appreciate those kind words. Thank you very much. So yeah, there you go. That's models are struggling with the development, and when you look at the satellite or water vapor imagery, you can kind of clearly see what's going on. There's a little span right here, moving off towards the west-northwest that will likely merge somewhere in here before coming out into either the Gulf of Mexico or the Yucatan Peninsula. Teresa, we got you. Tabitha got you. Dwayne got you. How about those Mets, Robert? Big win today watching from West Virginia. Susan, appreciate you. I don't mind the rain, says Tony. Tiffany DeHart. Tiffany, amen to that, sister. Jennifer Nancy's in the house. Jay Nance, good to have you there. Sanford, Florida. Brenda Gerlach is in the house. Appreciate all the updates reporting. Yeah, here's what I would say about the reports. I don't want you guys to stress out about them. What I always tell people to do is you don't have to look at them all the time. Look at them maybe once in the morning or once at night before you go to bed just to get the update. I want you to, Eileen Winfrey, no more rain, Eileen says. Joanne Clendins, Monica Gomes. The goal of these, for those of you that have anxiety, is not to stress you out. It's just basically to say, look, here's what's going on. Here's the latest. So I don't want you to, spend all day on your phones with this stuff. It's just not the answer. The answer is check in, whether it's 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night. You'll get an update from me or Eric or one of our other Mets here, and we'll just give you the very latest. That's it. We just take it one day at a time. It's all we can do. Bartow, Florida needs rain. Dwayne, thank you. Stacy Bruno, yes, you're right. Brenda Gerlach, do appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much. Tony and Paul got Dwayne. Paul's over there in Tampa, I believe, right? So with the 8 o'clock tropical weather update, no change, 10 and 40. Thinking still the same, that a TD could form in a few days, so we'll have to watch that. YouTube Brenda, that's right, says Louie Lou. Angela Anderson, you're welcome. Just doing my job. Let's see what else we got there. 505. So that's that. We're not doing any county by counties just yet because we don't have anything. Trust me, when we have an investor, we know that it's going to be within the area within about 2 to 3 days. We'll start cranking those out for you guys. So, Gulf Shores, Alabama. Gulf Shores could get some rain, but nothing. None of the models is impressing me intensity-wise. So I think we're good there. I'm home in Apopka. Got home today. Ginger come in. Excellent. Jeanette Woodcock Romer. Good to have you there. You're welcome, Stacy. There you go, Stacy. Love that. Pete Rose did pass away. I saw that. He was 83. Never made it to the hall while he was alive. So let's see here. Gordon Mooney had thanks. Gordon, yeah, just doing my job, Bubba. So there you go. That's that. Again, for those of you just getting in, Kirk and Leslie are going to go out to sea. There's Kirk, major hurricane. Leslie, also a pretty good potent storm there. That'll go out to sea. The Euro is trying to develop something as it moves east away from central Florida as a part of that amalgamation that brings all that rain our way. Just FYI on that, folks, there. So there's that. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. I think you guys have the scoop. Just keep checking back in for updates and just keep an eye out. That's all you have to do. Again, this is not going to be a Helene. This is not going to be anything like that at all. Birthday's this Saturday. Is Lake Andrew, it does look wet, but you know, it's a couple days out. We got plenty of time to fine tune that there for you. Thank you, Lizzie. Dwayne, I hope we do have a cold winter, man. I'm tired of all these love bugs. They're killing me. Oh, Michelle, I don't think it's going to be intense because here, let me show you. There's a lot of. You start getting into October, and you have to start worrying about cold fronts and wind shear. You too. Yeah. Anne Marie, I know. I love that. What is the M name? Milton is the M name storm, Melinda. Great question. Elena Martinez, Campbell City. Keep up. Melinda, thank you so much for those kind words. So there's a front up to the north. Now, when we look at the long range forecast here, okay? Let me do this for you. Okay. So here's the Euro. Okay. Euro, watch that. Here comes our system in the Gulf. See the blue, the wet weather. Then now all of a sudden everything is going south and east. That's with an arriving cold front. And it shows up nicely here. So you start getting into October, these fronts start dropping into us. It moves up north, and then here comes that Chicago Bears offensive line. Just boom, pushes everything south and east. Now, the GFS is a little bit different. GFS does climb a little bit farther to the north, where it's kind of hanging around, kind of spinning around there in the Gulf. And then late in the period, you start seeing a front dropping south late Monday and Tuesday. So that's that. That's kind of one of the things we're looking at there. And then when you look at the GFS as far as fronts is concerned, it's a little bit different. There's your front backing on in and still keeping the rate around. GFS does through the middle of next week. So again, sheared out. We'll continue to watch it. If you look at all the models, here's what we got. There's going to be the potential for a lot of rain in the Gulf and potentially even over Central Florida. And that, for me right now, is my biggest concern. That is my biggest concern right there, is the rain, not wind, not tornadoes. It's rain, 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 and that's the one thing that we're going to have to watch going forward. All right, gang, I'm going to wrap it up here on the 7-day forecast. Let you guys get back to what it is that you like to do on a Monday night. But here's a look at that. New models. Data starts coming out here in a little bit. I'll update you on that. Tonight at 10 on the CW18, and again at 11 on West 2 News. But 92, hot tomorrow, and then falling back into the mid-80s by the middle of next week. All right, gang, have a great night. Always great chatting with you. I'm here all week. We'll do this each and every night. Keep you guys up to speed and up to date on anything having to do with this feature in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. See you tonight at 10 and or again at 11. Until then, ta-ta.